All right, what's up, my people? Um, yeah, I just want to do another box lunch this week. There's a lot of fights this weekend. Or not all, yeah, that worked, I guess. At least I covered two fights this week. Um, Lots going on, man. Thank you guys for joining. Hit me up in the chat, see so I can see who's here, see what you guys want to talk about. But per usual, I'm gonna go just kind of do a 3-minute timer per subject. I got about four subjects I want to talk about. Man, it was a busy weekend. What did you guys think about the weekend? Let's see. Lots of good fights. Lots, upset, obviously. A couple upsets. All right, here we go. All right. So, first 3 minutes. All right. First, I want to talk about Beck the Bully on a 9-fight win streak. Now beat DFG Darius Fulgrim. Man, it was a good fight. Maybe one of the more like action-packed fights of the weekend. It was definitely up there. I don't know. There was a lot of good fights this weekend. But man, shout out to Beck the Bully, Joel Diaz and them. They got a win. It was good seeing some of these guys, these coaches who tend to get a lot of like B-side assignments. Get wins. Manny Robles, obviously, we'll get into Armando Resendiz in a little bit here, but man, good for them. Beck the Bully, I believe, I believe that fight was some kind of interim. I don't know what. I believe it was for the Plant Resendiz fight. So, obviously that would be a good fight. I don't know if either one of those if those two guys fight each other just because of promotional issues and things like that, Beck and Resendiz, but shout out to Beck. Got 9-fight win streak since losing to Gabe Rosado. Good for him. And man, we'll see where he goes from here. It was a tough fight. He was in a tough fight. I don't know if he I don't know if he's favored to beat, any of these guys at the top division, like a Jermall but he's going to be a tough out. He's going to be a tough out because he is super tough. He's very determined. You could tell even in that fight against Darius, he was, sometimes out of gas, but dug deep and came through. So, good for Beck. Good for again, Joel Diaz and those guys. Got a big win on the main event, Golden Boys card. We talked to Oscar about some of the Golden Boy stuff going on. Obviously, Ryan Garcia's hand surgery. He thinks Ryan should take the rest of the year off. I guess that's something else to think about. But maybe, I mean, if his hands hurt, it is only June. Maybe he gets in there towards the end of the year. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, shout out to Beck. Good win for him. And we'll see. There's a lot of stuff that could be happened at a lot of fights that could be made at super middleweight. I don't know. A lot of stuff going on. All right. Next subject, let's talk about, man, the Jermall Charlo's back. Big Charlo's back, the biggest. Charlo did what he had to do. Got Cornflake out of there. Cornflake that's a great nickname, by the way. Shout out to Cornflake. Cornflake was a really good dude all weekend. Just helped sell the promotion, as he should, which was really good. But just going back to Jermall, good for him. Let me bring up Jermall's Let's see. Jermall's box rec. Jermall, I think, you could tell there was a little bit of ring rust there for Jermall. There was points where he was kind of shaking out his arms and, just trying to loosen up, you could tell. I asked him about it in the post-fight press conference. He said that because I asked him if possibly he was injured or something, because I remember Jermall, when he fought Castaño the first time, there seemed to be like something wrong with like his shoulder. And I asked him about it. He kind of was, a little thankful, like, oh, thanks, I'm glad somebody brought it up, kind of a thing. So I kind of asked Jermall the same, kind of with the same premise of like, hey, is everything okay? Was something wrong? He said that, he's like, oh, I'm healthy, brother. He's like, I rebuke you. That was funny. I didn't even understand what he was rebuking me for. But man, Big Charlo was back. 34 wins, 23 KOs. I believe he probably should. I think, the Caleb fight is still a good fight. I know Caleb just lost, but, that's a good fight. I don't know if he wants to fight a Resendiz. He also put this channel. He does a lot of work for boxing. Smash the like button. Hey, appreciate that. Rap Star Boxing Knowledge. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, I think Jermall, it's great to have him back. Obviously, there's lots of fights that can be made. He, was calling for Canelo. Maybe. I mean, I think Turkey would probably make a fight like that happen. Canelo said he's finishing his career with Turkey, so obviously that's why they would have to put it together. But we'll see what happens with Big Charlo. I think let's see, Jaime Munguia tested positive recently. That's kind of its own thing. Maybe that limits one of the fighters he could fight. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with that whole thing. But obviously, Munguia Charlo would be a great fight. Munguia Berlanga would be a good fight. I'm sorry, Munguia. Charlo Berlanga would be a good fight. Even I think the Plant fight is still there. Really, like Plant had a tougher opponent in Resendiz than Jermall had Resendiz fought Charlo, we might be having a different conversation. I don't know. I think Resendiz would be a great fight for Big Charlo. I don't know if he, I don't know if the name recognition there is enough for him. But I mean, he did just beat Caleb, so I mean, that's a good fight. That'd be a good fight. But it's shout out to Jermall. Good for him. He looked great. Looked a little rusty, I feel like, but kind of shook it out and got the guy out of there like it was supposed to. All right, what else do we got here? Obviously, let's get to kind of the big thing. Shout out to Armando Resendiz. Shout out to Manny Robles and that gym with Estrellita and those guys over there. If you saw my post-fight interview with Manny, it's been tough. I've been in that exact same room with Manny in fights that, maybe should have gone his way. Those are super close fights. Obviously, Terrell Gausha against Elijah Garcia. A lot of people saw Gausha winning that fight. Bulacek versus Virgil Ortiz was a very close fight. Manny really felt, and his team, he was really distraught after that fight. Really felt like, just kind of like, man, what am I doing here? So to see the B-side guy get a victory, in a close fight like that was great, especially just, Manny and the guys. What do we got? Bones 13. Nobody knew Resendiz was going to be a tough opponent. He was a big underdog. He was a big underdog, for good reason, right? Like Elijah Garcia knocked him out in 8 rounds at middleweight. I do think since then, obviously, he's had one fight prior to Caleb At super middleweight, I believe it was a knockout win. Let's look at um, Resendiz box rec real quick. So 2 losses, 1 to Marcos Hernandez. I don't know who that is. But he was down in round 2. Obviously got knocked out by Elijah Garcia. But again, these were, Elijah Garcia's was at middleweight. See, if you see right here, Fernando Paliza, he knocked the guy out 5 rounds. That was at super middleweight. So I feel like Resendiz kind of made himself a player in the super middleweight division this weekend. I don't know if he gets any big fights quickly, but I mean, I do think the fight with Jermall would be a good fight. I don't know if it sells as well as they would like it to, but I mean, Resendiz has a built-in fan base, right? Like, Gente's gonna get behind Resendiz like pretty quick. He's a good-looking kid. He fights good, tough. Obviously, come forward guy. There's a lot of upside to Resendiz, especially if part of the problem was him making weight, and that's what was kind of causing some of his struggles here. Obviously, one of his losses was at 164, and the Elijah loss. Obviously, he weighed in under 160. But if he were, I don't know if that was really the issue, right? Of him draining himself down to middleweight was part of the problem, and that's why maybe those performances weren't as great. Then now we really have a player, at 168. The Charlo, I'm thinking like political wise, obviously, right? Like, obviously, Charlo versus Munguia would be a great fight. Charlo versus Belenko would be a great fight. But if we're trying to keep things in house, the way kind of things have been going, that Resendiz Charlo fight is a good fight. It's a good undercard for that. That's a good fight. Charlo fought Charlie Z. I don't know how Elijah beat Resendiz. That's PPC for you. Yeah, I it might be. I mean, Elijah is good, number one. So, that's part of it. But again, it could be that Resendiz is just maybe the making the weight was the issue. He did look like a middleweight in there against Caleb. I thought he looked a little smaller. I didn't think he really. I don't know. He didn't look as big as Caleb in there, or as Charlo, or as Tommy. So, but I don't know. Maybe he's just a big boned guy or something like that. He's just a thick, just like a heavy bone dude, and he just need the extra weight. All right, let's talk about let's talk about Caleb Plant. Where does Caleb go from here? Shout out to Caleb. Always been a class act. Even came to the post fight, which he did not have to do to address us and talk to us about the loss and what happened. There was kind of a sadness in the media room post fight, just because a lot of us, a lot of us like Caleb. A lot of us. Caleb's real cool with us. We'll answer questions. He is. In these circles, we build relationships with each other, right? And Caleb's just a good guy. Obviously, him and his beautiful wife are expecting another baby. And you just kind of root for good guys in this business. But sometimes two good guys fight each other, right? And that's what happened in the main event. I think Caleb still, showed he's still a good fighter. I think you have to be a very tough fighter to be able to beat Caleb Plant. Only Canelo, David Benavidez, and now Resendiz have done it. And I think people have kind of noticed that, okay, if you put a lot of pressure on Caleb, he might have like issues with that. I think also you do have to be tough enough to do that. And not a lot of guys are tough enough to put the pressure on him because Caleb's going to put hands on you when as you're trying to do that. Um, it was just a tough fight. I think it was just wasn't his night. It was Resendiz's best night, and Caleb, just couldn't get it going. It was unfortunate. It was still a close fight, obviously. So I think Caleb still has a lot of promise. I think again the Charlo fight I think is still right there. I think Windy City said Plant still beats Charlo. I mean that had they fought last night, I don't know. Charlo did look like he was taking him a little while to kind of warm up. I want to say he knocked out Thomas in like 5 rounds, wasn't it? 6 rounds. Yeah. So that's about right. Like no knock on Charlo, but had that Caleb fought Charlo, I don't know. Maybe Caleb kind of gets a jump on him early and does enough to kind of pile up some rounds early, and then we'll see how it shakes out towards the end. I don't know. I do think Plant and Charlo is still a great fight. Obviously, they had that drama with the slap and all that stuff. But Caleb could obviously the Berlanga fight's still there. Berlanga talked a lot afterwards. But I mean, if Berlanga loses to Hamza, then now that fight's right there again, right? So there's the super middleweight division is still hot with. It's better with Caleb in it. I think Caleb deserves a rest. Hopefully, enjoy his family, the birth of his new baby. It might be a year or so till we see Caleb. Which he deserves. He is, I believe, 32. How old is Caleb now? Yeah, 32. So he's getting up there in age as far as boxers are concerned. So I don't know. He's made a lot of money. God bless him. So hopefully we see him back again. I think a Charlo fight would be great. Even a rematch against Resendiz would be good. But I mean, I think if you could go to the Charlo fight, that's what you do. Maybe Resendiz fight somebody else, built his name up a little bit, and now we have, now we have just a bunch of players at super middleweight fighting each other, and kind of what makes it a little easier for all of us, right, is that they're all on the same network too, which is nice. But all right, guys, this is just making it a quick one. Just wanted to recap the week. The weekend. Hello, he talked Virgin Hotel. I was one of the first subscribers. Hey, Money Power. Yeah, brother, I remember. I talked to you when we were at the Virgin for the weigh-ins. Oh no, not the weigh-ins, for the actual fight. Yeah, I appreciate you watching, man. Thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate it. Tomorrow is Manny Pacquiao's press conference with Mario Barrios. So Ray Martinez lost this week. Didn't even know Ray Martinez was fighting, unfortunately. Yeah, I think what was I saying? Yeah, tomorrow Pacquiao versus Barrios LA press conference will be here. I will be going live for that, so tune in, hit the bell icon for that so you get notified that I'm going live. I want to do these a lot more common. I'm going to try to get a fighter on next week with me to do this little back and forth, just talk about what's going on in boxing and stuff. But thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate you guys all watching the live stream over the weekend, just all the content I put out during the weekend. Thank you guys, and yeah, we'll see what's next. I believe obviously we got Keyshawn this weekend. That's a good fight against De Los Santos. That whole card is pretty good. Got Abdullah Mason as well on that card, fighting a solid fighter. So we got some good boxing in summertime, and then obviously Pacquiao in July, and then the rumor is Gervonta in August. So, and then Canelo Crawford in September. So yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. Hit that like button. Thank you, Money Power. Thank you, Windy City. All you guys for participating. Rap Star Boxing Knowledge. Thank you, Bones 13. Appreciate it. And thank you so much, guys. Appreciate all the support. See you guys at the next one.